Yo, what's going on, guys? When we going over today's price action, what trades I ended up taking today, I ended up fading everything today. Didn't take any trades at all, avoided a loss, and then from there on, there's just no really good trades. No high probable setups, in my opinion, for today. Pretty simple. Going in, I still don't have the replay thing, but we're gonna have that back soon. Don't worry. Going into today, I was leaning bearish. Reason being is because we had this SMT up here with this daily gap. So we had this SMT inside of this significant key level being this daily gap, and overall, if we just look at the daily time frame, we've just been looking pretty bearish down to these weekly objectives down here. As you can see, we had this weekly low, and we had some 1 hour lows as well down here as well, from basically from yesterday, which is what I was talking about yesterday. So coming into today, again leading bearish. Why was I leading bearish too? It was just the way we were disrespecting, we were delivering off of this higher time from SMT during the time. Ignore these candles because this is all after. But during this time, as you can see, when we had this SMT inside this daily gap, we inverse this hourly gap here. So if anything, I was leaning pretty bearish. And then what we did have was this unfilled 4 hour. So there's two scenarios I could see going into today. And that would be pretty simple. The 4 hour was kind of going to tell the story for today. So coming into the market as well, we had this 30-minute fair value gap right here, which opened up just before the market opened. And with that in mind, I was like, okay, cool. So there's like two conditions I can see happening today. And that's either A, we end up coming into this, so market ends up opening higher into this unfilled 30-minute gap, and then we can look for shorts from there, targeting the unfilled 4 hour below as our draw for the trade. Or option B would be if we're, because I was only leaning bearish, I wasn't 100% bearish today. The reason being is because just because we have an SMT inside of a gap like this, by right, we should not want to trade back to it if we're going to be bullish. But that doesn't mean that the Nasdaq doesn't want to take out this liquidity pool as well. So I could still definitely see us being bullish if we were to open lower into this 4 hour at 9:30 and then start to make moves higher towards this daily objective. Then I would sort of be looking at this SMT on the higher time frame as an insignificant SMT, meaning that Nasdaq also wants to come up into this daily gap and collect some liquidity in there as well. And so with that in mind, what did we do at market open? Obviously, we had that accumulation pre-market right here where we were accumulating pre-market, and then market open, and we immediately dumped into that 4 hour fair value gap. Now, I wasn't going to be bullish off of that alone just because we had a 9:30 PO3 into this 4 hour, especially with the higher time frame narrative above us as well. So what I was waiting for was for us to either react off of this 4 hour, and if we reacted off this 4 hour, and started to make moves higher, then I would have been simply looking for longs, because then that's telling me that this 4 hour does hold significance and it does hold power, and that we do want to come up and sweep out all these draws that we have above us here, like these 5-minute swing highs and this basically London session high, and then start heading towards the daily gap as well. So obviously, with that in mind, we ended up opening to the 4 hour, and then we ended up expanding off the 4 hour. Now, this wasn't the best. This price action today was definitely not that great at all. Even when we came into this 4 hour, we just were failing to really distribute off it until we got to around 9:38 when we had this diddy candle to the upside, and we started traveling up, and we came into this unfilled 30-minute gap. Now, I know there's definitely a good few people today that ended up taking shorts off of this 30-minute gap. If you want to go to the 1 minute here now, this was on the 30-second time frame. We had this 30-second short right here at 9:44, or it was like 9:45. It was like on this 9:45 candle, we had a 30-second short where we ended up inversing a 30-second gap inside this leg of price, and that was the highest time frame for a value gap within this manipulation leg. I wouldn't really call this the best manipulation now, in my opinion. And people ended up taking this and they got their shit rocked. They got instantly railed on this short setup. And with that failing, then we had a stop hunt. So if you try to take shorts after we had like a little resweep inside this 30-minute, and then we had this like candle here, which then technically inverse the 30-second again. That's just FOMO. Especially when we don't have any other higher time frame gap here at all, and not higher time frame gap, but like a 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, especially after it's already inversing the 30-second and then retracing higher. If you're taking any shorts here with a 9:48 candle here, you're just basically, it's just FOMO, right? Realistically speaking, I believe it's just you're just feeling like the fear of missing out if you're doing that, because it just doesn't make sense to take it anymore, right? I could definitely understand the first 30 seconds short, because we did, like, what was it we were doing before we came up there? We're just generating low resistance liquidity here for you to grab, which was leading up to that 4 hour. But again, even at that, you're targeting high resistance liquidity. No matter how you're looking at this situation here, this range is very tricky. Just this entire range right here is pretty tricky to be taking any trades in, and just wouldn't really make too much sense, because no matter what you're taking in this situation here, your confirmation is pretty poor, right? And then I know there were people that ended up taking this long here as well, this 2 minute long. This is completely bare minimum, and this is like one of the most pattern trades of pattern trades I've ever seen. It did play out, right? It played out, don't get me wrong. But like, if someone were to ask me, show me what a pattern trade is, this is a pattern trade. This is not a trade that you realistically should be taking. All you are essentially taking here is just a 2 minute inversion to the upside. That's literally all you have. You have a low resistance liquidity at your stop loss. Sure, you can argue the fact that we are delivering off this 4 hour, but is this really the kind of delivery you'd want to see off of a 4 hour fair value gap? Like, after we've just chopped around inside of the gap with no clear distribution until 9:38, and then we have what, a small retrace into nothing, into thin air, right? Oh, we had an order block, dude. We had an order block. Shut up, right? This is complete pattern trade, and it's just not a good long by any means necessary. If you took it fair enough and you had your reasonings for taking it, then sure, don't get me wrong, nice. If you trade a different model as well, and I was only joking about order blocks. They are very good confluences. I just don't personally like them, and they just don't make much sense to me. So that's why I don't use them. But of course, if you ended up having like an order block here or whatever, and you like this inversion and you took this, then fair enough. Now, trade of the day, to be honest, even at this, like, we had this 5 minute inversion here, um, at 950, and this is valid. Like, this is not bad. But the thing is, it is also really bad at the same time, is because the risk to reward on this is pretty trash. Well, if you're targeting the daily gap, it's fine, but it's just like you're taking a 5 minute inversion while we are inside of a 30 minute gap with no clear confirmation if we are going to respect or disrespect that gap just yet. Until obviously the next candle, when we ended up rallying up much higher, which is 9:55. So we're getting close to 10 a.m. At that point, you could have presumed that this 30 minute gap was definitely not going to hold. But even at that, like, you have to ask yourself the question: if you ended up taking this 5 minute long here, if you ended up taking the 2 minute or the 5 minute long, you have to ask yourself a simple question: would you be pissed at yourself if you lost that trade? Right? And that's what I asked myself when I seen these two setups present themselves, and even the 30-second here, even all three setups here. When I was looking at those setups, I asked myself, now, Ryan, would you be pissed at yourself and would you be mad if you ended up taking this and losing? And my answer to all three of those setups were yes, I would be. So I didn't take any of them, right? It's pretty simple stuff. We're lacking structure as well. You're just targeting high resistance even again on this. But it is a 5 minute inversion. But this is inside of a 15 minute gap. Yeah, just everything today was just not good. It was a pretty bad day of price action. And the bias became abundantly obvious once we started displacing and inverse this 30 minute up to this daily gap. We ended up opening a 15 minute fair value gap here. But again, we just had no good retrace into it. And by the time this 15 minute even opened, like, yeah, it already hit TP at that stage, already hit the daily objective. We did have a nice 5 minute here that I would have 100% been down to take a long off if we retrace into. Why? Because this is with the higher time frame narrative. We've inversed a 30 minute gap. We would have had that 10 a.m. PO3, which is a stacking PO3 with 9:30 into this sponsored 5 minute by the 4 hour below. Then if we ended up doing something like this, and then getting a nice clean inverse out of it, that would have been definitely a trade I would have been willing to take today. But again, that did not happen today. I ended up just rallying straight to my daily objective, and then at this point, I was realistically just off the charts the second we hit this daily gap. Wasn't looking for shorts after that. Why? Reason being is because if you just look at this, like, we are just literally printing to the upside. The structure below is trash. It's just bullish, 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 bullish until we hit this daily gap. Like, what are you targeting here? You're targeting an unfilled gap. It's just really bare minimum. If you took any short here, it's just super bare minimum. Like, there's no structure backing that we'd want to even retrace to one of those gaps just yet. And it is a daily gap, so you'd be taking like a 2 minute short off of a daily fair value gap. Like, is that something you really want to do? Like, we can mess around inside of a daily fair value gap for ages until we want to displace off of it. Like, look, as you can see here, we're now starting to we leave the rejection wick inside this daily gap, so it looks like we might end up displacing off of it. But just look how long that took to happen. Like, if we go to the 1 minute chart here, if I just turn back on this, sorry, like we didn't end up displacing lower past that gap until 2:30 p.m. New York time, which is what, like, that's PM session. We're into PM session now, and then now we're doing that. So we can mess around inside of these higher time frame key levels for a good bit of time, especially when it's a daily gap. So taking a short off of a daily gap is just like a direct short without clear structure below you as well. Um, Without any good clear structure below you, it's just not really valid, and it's just another pattern trade and be another. I don't even know if there was a good setup. There wasn't even a good short setup at all. Like, no even clean inversion at all. So it's just like, yeah, that's basically it for today. Nothing really exciting. Just yeah, abundantly obvious bullish bias once we started spacing through that 30 minute. But again, just no continuation models for me to take. And yeah, that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. Hopefully you guys learned something. Um, or tell me if you guys end up taking a loss or a win today, if you end up taking any trades. Please feel free to leave them down in the comments, because I'm always interested to see how other people are doing too. And yeah, we're going to be documenting the entire journey to profitability on this YouTube channel in front of everybody's eyes, so we can show people what it takes to actually become profitable with the day trading and to actually put time and effort into something and make it happen. So I'm excited for the future, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the next trade recap. Peace.